Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Liberty and watched the last ships leave New Terra Colony. The ships were full of families who had called this place home for 50 years. Children pressed their faces against the windows and looked back at the only world they had ever known. Their parents held them close and tried not to cry. Jake felt his hands shake as he gripped the metal rail in front of him. The Zephyrian Empire had given humans 3 days to leave all the outer colonies. 3 days to pack up entire lives and run away like scared animals. Jake had been in space for 20 years, and he had never felt so angry. The aliens treated humans like bugs that needed to be stepped on. They took human worlds whenever they wanted them. They made humans pay taxes for the right to exist. They killed anyone who said no. Lieutenant Ben Clark sat at his station and received messages from Earth Command. His face was pale and his hands moved quickly over the controls. Jake could see that something big was happening. Ben had been his communications officer for 5 years, and Jake had never seen him look so serious. The young man turned around and looked at Jake with wide eyes. "Sir, I have a priority message from Admiral Lisa Kane herself," Ben said. His voice was quiet, but Jake could hear the excitement in it. "She wants to speak with you right away." Jake walked to his private office behind the bridge. The door closed with a soft sound, and he sat down at his desk. The screen flickered and Admiral Kane appeared. She was a strong woman with gray hair and cold blue eyes. She had fought aliens for 30 years, and she looked tired of it. Behind her, Jake could see other officers moving around with purpose. "Jake, I hope you are sitting down," Kane said. "What I am about to tell you will change everything. Operation Wildfire has been approved by the President herself. We are done running away from these aliens. We are done letting them push us around. We are done watching them kill our people." Jake felt his heart beat faster. Operation Wildfire was something he had heard whispered about in dark corners of military bases. It was the plan they would use if humanity was ever pushed too far. Most people thought it was just a story. Jake was learning that it was very real. "What are my orders, Admiral?" Jake asked. "You will take the Liberty to the Luna Research Station and pick up Dr. Amanda Foster and her team. She has been working on something special for 15 years. The aliens think they know everything about human technology. They are about to learn how wrong they are." Kane's image disappeared, and Jake sat in the dark for a moment. He thought about all the human colonies that had been destroyed. He thought about Harmony Station, where 12,000 people had been killed just because they refused to pay more taxes. He thought about human children being sold as slaves in alien markets. He thought about how the Galactic Council always sided with the stronger alien races and ignored human complaints. Jake stood up and walked back to the bridge. His crew looked at him and waited for orders. These were good people who had signed up to protect human space. They had watched aliens destroy human lives for years, and they were tired of it. Jake could see the anger in their eyes. It was the same anger he felt in his chest. "Ben, set course for Luna Station. Maximum speed," Jake ordered. "Sir, Luna Station is in restricted space. We will need special clearance," Ben replied. "We have it. Trust me." The Liberty turned away from New Terra Colony and jumped to hyperspace. Jake watched the stars stretch into lines of light as they flew toward Earth's moon. He wondered what Dr. Foster had been building all these years. He wondered if it would be enough to make the aliens finally leave humans alone. Dr. Amanda Foster sat in her laboratory deep under the surface of Luna. She had not seen sunlight in 3 months. The work was too important to stop. Around her, machines hummed with power that most humans could not understand. She had spent 15 years learning how to break apart matter at the smallest level. She had learned how to make things disappear, completely. The aliens were better at building energy weapons and faster ships, but humans were better at understanding how the universe really worked. Humans asked questions that aliens never thought to ask. Humans looked for answers in places that aliens ignored. Amanda had found something that would change the balance of power in the galaxy. Her assistant, Dr. Carl Williams, ran into the laboratory. His face was red from running and he was breathing hard. "Amanda, we just got word from Earth Command. Operation Wildfire is active. They want us ready to move in 6 hours." Amanda looked at the quantum disruption device she had been building. It was the size of a small car, and it glowed with blue light. She had tested it on small objects and watched them simply stop existing. The atoms forgot how to stay together and scattered into nothing. She wondered what would happen if she pointed it at an alien ship. "Carl, start the final preparations. Make sure all the data is backed up. If this works, we will never have to run from aliens again," Amanda said. "And if it does not work?" Carl asked. Amanda smiled for the first time in weeks. "Then we will die fighting instead of living on our knees." 6 hours later, Captain Morrison and his crew arrived at Luna Station. They loaded Dr. Foster's equipment onto the Liberty with great care. Amanda refused to tell anyone exactly what her device could do. She only said that it would give humans a fighting chance. As the Liberty left Luna and headed for the outer colonies, Jake felt something he had not felt in years. He felt hope. The aliens had pushed humanity around for 300 years. They had taken human worlds and killed human people and treated humans like animals. But humans were about to push back. And when humans pushed back, the galaxy was about to learn what real war looked like. The Zephyrian battle fleet hung in space like a pack of metal wolves. 50 ships patrolled the Kepler sector and their crews felt safe and strong. They had destroyed 3 human colonies in the past month, and no one had fought back. The Zephyrians were tall blue aliens with 4 arms and no mercy. They believed humans were weak and stupid. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Admiral Lisa Kane stood on the bridge of the UES Vengeance and watched the enemy fleet through her screens. Her ship was different from anything humans had built before. Dr. Amanda Foster's quantum technology had been built into every weapon and shield. The ship could do things that broke the rules of physics as aliens understood them. "Are all ships ready?" Kane asked her weapons officer. "Yes, Admiral. All quantum disruption cannons are charged and ready to fire," Lieutenant Commander Susan Wright replied. Kane had waited 30 years for this moment. She had watched aliens kill her friends and destroy human worlds. She had sat in meetings where alien ambassadors treated humans like children who needed to be controlled. She had seen human slaves being sold in alien markets while the Galactic Council did nothing. Today all of that would end. "Fire," Kane said quietly. The quantum weapons did not make bright flashes like normal space weapons. They made reality itself come apart. The Zephyrian ships simply stopped existing. One moment they were there, and the next moment there was empty space where they had been. The atoms that made up the ships forgot how to stay together and scattered across the universe. The few Zephyrian ships that survived the first strike tried to run. Their crews sent panic messages to their homeworld. They screamed about impossible weapons and humans who could make matter disappear. But quantum weapons moved faster than their ships could fly. Within 10 minutes, the entire Zephyrian fleet was gone. Kane allowed herself a small smile. "Send a message to Earth Command. The Kepler sector is clear. Begin Phase 2. Colonel Ryan Hayes stood in the dropship as it fell toward Zephyria Prime like a metal meteor. Around him sat 50 human soldiers wearing quantum-enhanced power armor. The armor made them stronger and faster than any alien warrior. Their weapons could cut through any alien metal like it was paper. Ryan had lost his brother in the attack on Harmony Station. He had watched the videos of Zephyrian soldiers killing human children and laughing about it. He had spent months training his soldiers for this moment. They were going to show the galaxy that humans could fight back harder than anyone expected. The dropship hit the ground outside the Zephyrian capital city. Ryan and his soldiers poured out like angry ants. The Zephyrian defenders had energy shields and plasma cannons, but they might as well have been throwing rocks. Human quantum rifles punched through their shields and turned their weapons into dust. "Remember what they did to our people," Ryan shouted as he led the charge toward the city. "Remember Harmony Station. Remember every human child they killed. Make them pay for it all." The battle for Zephyria Prime should have taken months. The city had walls that were supposed to be unbreakable and defense systems that had never been defeated. But human soldiers moved through the defenses like ghosts walking through walls. Their quantum weapons made doors where there had been solid metal. Their armor let them survive explosions that would have killed normal humans. In the Capitol building, General Marcus Stone led a small team to capture the Zephyrian High Command. Stone was a smart man who understood that sometimes the best way to win a war was to cut off the enemy's head. He had studied alien psychology for years, and he knew exactly how to break their will to fight. The Zephyrian leaders were tall, proud beings who had ruled their empire for 1,000 years. They sat in a circular room made of black stone and tried to look brave as human soldiers surrounded them. But Stone could see the fear in their eyes. They had never expected humans to reach their home world. "You have two choices," Stone said to the Zephyrian emperor. "You can surrender now and live as prisoners, or you can keep fighting and watch your entire species disappear like your fleet did." The emperor's forearms shook with rage. "Humans are nothing. You are insects that we will crush." Stone nodded to one of his soldiers. The man aimed his quantum rifle at a metal statue in the corner of the room. The statue was made of the hardest metal in the galaxy, and it was older than human civilization. The rifle fired and the statue simply stopped existing. "That statue was made of quantum-resistant alloy," Stone said calmly. "Your ships were made of the same material. So are your weapons and your armor. Our technology does not care how strong your metal is. We can make anything disappear." The Emperor's eyes went wide as he finally understood what he was facing. The humans had not just built better weapons. They had found a way to break the basic rules that held matter together. They had become something that could destroy anything. Captain Susan Wright's stealth destroyer moved through space like a shadow hunting prey. Her ship was invisible to alien sensors, and her crew was hungry for revenge. They had lost friends and family to alien attacks, and now it was time to return the favor. Wright's target was a Nexari trade convoy carrying supplies to alien military bases. The Nexari were small gray aliens who made money by selling weapons to anyone who would pay. They had sold the guns that killed humans at Harmony Station. Wright was going to make sure they never sold weapons again. The Nexari ships never saw the attack coming. Wright's quantum torpedoes phased through their shields like they were not even there. The torpedoes went off inside the ships and turned their cargo into expanding clouds of atoms. 12 Nexari ships carrying enough weapons to arm a small army simply ceased to exist. Wright opened a communication channel to the surviving Nexari captain. The alien appeared on her screen looking terrified and confused. His large eyes were wide with fear and his thin hands shook as he tried to work his controls. "This is Captain Wright of the Human Navy," she said. "Tell your government that we know who sold the weapons used to kill our people. Tell them that we are coming for everyone who helped murder humans. Tell them that the age of pushing humans around is over." The Nexari captain could only stammer broken words as Wright's ship disappeared back into the darkness of space. News of the attack spread through alien communication networks faster than light. For the first time in galactic history, humans had not just fought back, they had won completely and easily. On a dozen worlds across the galaxy, alien leaders watched, the reports with growing fear. The humans they had treated as weak and stupid had revealed weapons that could destroy anything. The species they had pushed around for centuries had pushed back with the force of an exploding star. The galaxy was about to learn what happened when humans were pushed too far. Commander Alex Turner watched 17 human battle groups jump into hyperspace at the same moment. Each group had a target and each target would burn before the day was over. Turner commanded the strike force heading for the Corvin home system. The Corvins were big reptile aliens who had been capturing human ships for 50 years. They used human prisoners as slaves in their mining operations. Today, Turner was going to free every human slave and make the Corvins pay for their crimes. The Corvin Navy was waiting for them when they arrived. 200 alien ships formed a defensive line around their home world. The ships were huge and covered with thick armor and powerful weapons. The Corvin admiral sent a message to Turner demanding that the humans surrender or be destroyed. Turner laughed as he read the message. The Corvins still did not understand what they were facing. They thought human ships were the same weak vessels they had been bullying for decades. They were about to learn that everything had changed. "All ships, fire quantum torpedoes," Turner ordered. The human fleet was only 30 ships, but their quantum weapons did not care about numbers. The torpedoes phased through space and time itself. They appeared inside Corvin ships and turned the metal hulls into expanding clouds of atoms. In less than an hour, the entire Corvin Navy simply stopped existing. Captain Helen Davis led her blockade runners to cut off Nexari trade routes. The Nexari had grown rich selling weapons and supplies to enemies of humanity. Their merchant ships carried goods across half the galaxy, and their profits paid for the armies that killed humans. Davis was going to shut down their entire economy in one day. The Nexari Trade Federation had protected their shipping lanes for 300 years. They had defense stations and patrol fleets guarding every major route, but quantum weapons made their defenses worthless. Davis's ships appeared at 17 different systems and destroyed every Nexari merchant vessel they found. The Nexari tried to hide their ships in asteroid fields and nebulae, but human sensors could track quantum signatures through any interference. One by one, their merchant fleet disappeared. In a single day, the Nexari lost more ships than they had built in the past century. Major Chris Adams led ground forces to liberate human slave colonies. The aliens had captured thousands of humans over the years and forced them to work in mines and factories. The prisoners lived in terrible conditions, and many had been slaves for so long they had forgotten what freedom felt like. Adams and his soldiers moved through the slave camps like avenging angels. Their quantum weapons cut through alien guards without making a sound. Prison walls that had held humans for decades simply ceased to exist when human rifles touched them. The slaves could hardly believe their eyes as their rescuers appeared like ghosts walking through solid metal. "You are free," Adams told a group of humans who had been slaves for 20 years. "We have come to take you home." An old man with scars covering his arms looked at Adams with tears in his eyes. "Is this real? Are you really human soldiers?" "It is real," Adams replied. "The aliens will never hurt humans again. We are going to make sure of that." The footage of human slaves being freed spread across the galaxy's communication networks. Alien viewers watched in shock as Nexari overseers were dragged from their compounds by angry humans. They saw Corvin guards running in terror from human soldiers who walked through walls like they were made of air. President Victoria Chen spoke to the galaxy from the new orbital fortress above Earth. The fortress was built with quantum technology and could destroy entire fleets with a single shot. Behind Chen stood the leaders of the human military, and their faces showed no mercy for the aliens who had oppressed humanity. "For 300 years we asked for peace," Chen said. "We offered to work together and share the galaxy with all species. We extended friendship to civilizations that repaid our kindness with slavery and death. We tried to solve our problems with words and diplomacy." Chen paused and looked directly into the camera. Her eyes were hard as steel and her voice carried the anger of an entire species. "You answered our friendship with genocide. You took our children and made them slaves. You destroyed our colonies and laughed while our people died. You treated us like animals that existed only for your profit and amusement." The alien leaders watching the broadcast shifted uncomfortably in their seats. They had spent centuries thinking of humans as a minor nuisance. Now they were listening to the leader of a species that could make their entire civilization disappear. "Now you will learn why our ancestors called war hell," Chen continued. "We did not choose this fight, but we will finish it. Every species that harmed humanity will pay the price. Every government that allowed our people to suffer will face our justice. The galaxy is about to learn what happens when humans are pushed too far." Dr. Amanda Foster worked around the clock to develop new quantum weapons. Her team had created viruses that could corrupt alien computer systems and make their ships turn on each other. They built bombs that could make entire planets uninhabitable. They designed weapons that could destroy space stations from across the galaxy. The psychological warfare was as important as the physical attacks. Foster's team hacked into the Galactic Council's communication network and broadcast footage of human victories to every world in known space. Alien viewers watched their mighty fleets disappear like they had never existed. They saw their strongest warriors running in terror from human soldiers. The broadcast showed human slaves being freed and alien leaders being captured. They showed human ships appearing out of nowhere and destroying targets that should have been impossible to reach. Most importantly, They showed that humans were no longer the weak species that could be pushed around without consequences. Fear spread through alien civilization like a plague. Species that had never worried about humans suddenly found themselves checking their defenses and looking over their shoulders. Trade routes that had been safe for centuries were abandoned as merchant ships refused to travel through space that might contain human raiders. The Galactic Council called emergency sessions to discuss the human threat. Representatives from dozens of species gathered to figure out how to deal with an enemy that could make their technology worthless. Some called for immediate surrender, while others demanded that all species unite to destroy humanity before it was too late. But unity was hard to achieve when every species was afraid that humans might target them next. The same selfishness that had allowed them to ignore human suffering for centuries now made it impossible for them to work together. Each species looked out for itself and hoped that human anger would fall on someone else. Captain Jake Morrison patrolled the outer rim in his upgraded ship and watched alien colonies evacuate as human forces approached. The roles had been reversed completely. Now it was aliens who ran in terror from human ships. Now it was alien families who packed their belongings and fled from worlds they had called home. Morrison felt no pity for them. He remembered watching human children pressed against transport windows as they fled from New Terra Colony. He remembered the fear in their eyes and the tears on their parents' faces. The aliens were finally learning what it felt like to be helpless and afraid. The galaxy was burning, and humanity held the torch. After 3 centuries of being victims, humans had become the predators. The hunt had begun, and nothing would ever be the same again. The largest alien fleet in galactic history moved toward the Sol system like a metal storm. 6 different species had put aside their differences and combined their navies into one massive force. 3,000 ships from the Zephyrian Empire, Nexari Federation, Corvin Republic, Altair Collective, Vegan Alliance, and the Centauri Syndicate. They came seeking to destroy humanity before human quantum weapons could spread to other rebellious species. Admiral Kane watched them approach from the command center of the Sol defense grid. The grid was a network of quantum weapon platforms that surrounded Earth's solar system like a deadly web. Each platform could destroy 100 ships with a single shot. The aliens had no idea what they were flying into. "They really think they can intimidate us with numbers," Kane said to her staff. "They still do not understand that quantity means nothing when we can make matter itself disappear." The alien fleet was commanded by Supreme Admiral Zethkri of the Zephyrian Empire. He was a veteran of 100 battles, and he had never lost a fight. He stood 9 feet tall with blue skin and 4 muscular arms. His flagship was the largest warship ever built, and it carried enough firepower to destroy entire worlds. "Attention, human defenders," Zethkri broadcast on all frequencies. "You will surrender immediately and submit to galactic justice. Your species has committed acts of terrorism against peaceful civilizations. You will face trial for your crimes, or we will destroy your entire solar system." Kane opened a channel to reply. Her image appeared on screens throughout the alien fleet, and her voice carried the confidence of someone who held all the winning cards. "Supreme Admiral, you have made a mistake," Kane said calmly. "You have brought your entire fleet to the one place in the galaxy where we are strongest. You came here thinking that numbers would save you. You are about to learn that you are very wrong." The Battle of Sol's Edge began when the alien fleet reached the edge of human space. The first thing they discovered was that human ships could appear and disappear at will. Captain Jake Morrison led a squadron of quantum-enhanced destroyers that struck without warning and vanished before the aliens could return fire. Morrison's ship, the UES Retribution, phased in and out of normal space like a ghost hunting prey. His quantum torpedoes tore through alien formations and left expanding voids where proud warships had been moments before. The aliens tried to target him, but their sensors could not track ships that existed in multiple dimensions at once. "All units begin random strike pattern Alpha," Morrison ordered his squadron. "Make them afraid to move and afraid to stay still." The alien commanders had planned their attack based on 300 years of fighting weak human ships. They expected long battles with energy weapons and missile exchanges. Instead, they found themselves fighting an enemy that could ignore their shields and armor completely. Their strongest defenses were useless against weapons that attacked matter at the quantum level. Supreme Admiral Zethkri watched his fleet dissolve around him and felt fear for the first time in his long military career. Ships that had survived dozens of battles simply stopped existing when human weapons touched them. His communications were full of panic reports from captains who could not understand what was happening to their vessels. All ships, retreat to Formation Gamma, Zethkri ordered. Concentrate fire on the nearest human vessel, but concentration was impossible when the enemy could appear anywhere at any time. Human ships struck from all directions and disappeared before the aliens could coordinate their response. The massive alien fleet found itself fighting shadows that hit like hammers and vanished like smoke. Major Rachel Ford led Special Forces units that teleported directly onto alien command ships. Her soldiers used quantum transport technology to appear inside supposedly secure areas. They moved through alien vessels like death itself, systematically capturing or killing the enemy leadership. Ford materialized on the bridge of a Nixari battlecruiser and watched the alien crew freeze in terror. Her quantum rifle could kill any of them instantly, but she wanted information more than blood. "Which one of you is the captain?" Ford asked. A small gray alien with large eyes stepped forward. His hands shook as he tried to look brave in front of his crew. "I am Captain Velthar. You cannot be here. Our shields prevent all matter transport." Ford smiled coldly. "Your shields work against normal matter transport. Our technology works, outside the rules you understand. Now you are going to tell me everything about your fleet's battle plans." The psychological effect of human soldiers appearing inside alien ships spread panic through the enemy fleet. Commanders who thought they were safe behind layers of armor and shields suddenly found human warriors materializing in their private quarters. The aliens realized that nowhere was safe from an enemy that could ignore physical barriers. Lieutenant Colonel Sarah Mitchell led engineering teams that used quantum technology to terraform asteroids in real time. The asteroids became fortress worlds that could support human populations and serve as bases for further attacks. What should have taken decades of work was accomplished in hours using quantum manipulation. The aliens watched in horror as humans turned worthless rocks into habitable worlds before their eyes. The implications were terrifying. If humans could terraform dead asteroids in hours, they could also turn living worlds into poisonous wasteland just as quickly. "Sir, we are receiving surrender requests from 17 enemy ships," reported Keynes, communications officer. "Tell them that surrender is not an option," Kane replied. "They came here to destroy us. Now they get to learn what total war really means." The alien fleet that had seemed so mighty began to break apart as ships tried to escape the slaughter. But human quantum weapons moved faster than any hyperspace drive. Ships that tried to flee found their engines simply stopping as quantum torpedoes unraveled the matter that powered them. Captain Danny Clark commanded a group of raiders that cut off all alien supply lines. His ships appeared at enemy supply depots and made them disappear completely. Alien forces found themselves stranded without fuel, food, or ammunition as their support network simply ceased to exist. The Battle of Saul's Edge lasted 3 days, but the outcome was never in doubt. The largest alien fleet in history was completely destroyed, while human losses were minimal. Supreme Admiral Zethkri's flagship was captured when human soldiers teleported onto his bridge and forced him to surrender. "This is impossible," Zethkri said as human guards led him away. "No species can develop technology this advanced in such a short time." "We did not develop it quickly," Kane told him. "We have been working on quantum science for decades while you were busy thinking we were too stupid to threaten you. You underestimated us, and that mistake has cost you everything." News of the alien defeat spread across the galaxy faster than light. The combined fleet of 6 major species had been completely destroyed by human forces that seemed to break the laws of physics. Alien governments that had seemed all-powerful suddenly looked weak and vulnerable. On 1,000 worlds, alien populations looked up at the stars and wondered if human ships were coming for them next. The species that had spent centuries oppressing humanity now lived in constant fear of quantum weapons that could appear anywhere and destroy anything. The galaxy's economy collapsed as trade routes became too dangerous to use. No merchant captain wanted to risk having their ship simply disappear when human raiders decided they were carrying supplies for enemy forces. Entire star systems found themselves cut off from the galactic community. Admiral Kane stood on the observation deck of her flagship and watched the wreckage of the alien fleet drift through space. Pieces of ships that had once seemed mighty now floated like cosmic garbage. The species that had pushed humanity around for 3 centuries had finally learned what happened when humans pushed back. The age of alien dominance was over. The age of human supremacy had begun. And across the galaxy, those who had oppressed humanity waited in fear for the judgment that was surely coming. 2 years after the Battle of Sol's Edge, the galaxy looked very different. The proud alien empires that had ruled for thousands of years now existed only by human permission. Their leaders came to Earth as beggars seeking mercy from the species they had once treated as slaves. The balance of power had shifted so completely that many aliens could hardly believe it was real. Admiral Kane had been promoted to Supreme Commander of Human Space Forces. She sat in her office in the orbital city of New Geneva and watched a parade of alien ambassadors waiting to meet with her. Each one hoped to negotiate better terms for their species. Each one feared that saying the wrong thing might result in their homeworld simply disappearing. The first ambassador was an Nexari trade minister named Kelnus. The small gray alien had grown rich selling weapons to enemies of humanity. Now he sat across from Kane with his large eyes full of fear and his thin hands shaking as he tried to hold his dignity together. Supreme Commander Kane, the Nexari Federation, wishes to express our deep regret for any past misunderstandings, Kelnus said in his high, squeaky voice. We are prepared to offer full reparations for any harm we may have inadvertently caused to human interests. Kane looked at him with cold blue eyes that had seen too much war and death. She had watched videos of Nexari weapons being used to kill human children. She had read reports of Nexari merchants selling human slaves in their markets. The word inadvertently made her want to laugh or scream. Minister Kelnus, you sold the weapons that killed 12,000 humans at Harmony Station, Kane said quietly. Your people made billions of credits selling tools of murder to anyone who wanted to hurt my species. Now you call it a misunderstanding. The Nexari's large eyes grew even wider with terror. Supreme Commander, we were simply conducting legitimate business. We sold weapons to many species for defensive purposes only. Defensive purposes, Kane repeated. Is that what you called it when those weapons were used to slaughter human civilians? Kane touched a control on her desk, and the wall behind her became a giant screen. It showed footage from Harmony Station after the Zephyrian attack. Bodies of human children lay scattered among the ruins of their homes. The weapons that killed them all bore Nexari manufacturing marks. Kelnus looked at the images and his gray skin turned even paler. We did not know how our products would be used. We cannot control what buyers do with legitimate merchandise. You knew exactly what your buyers intended, Kane said. Your sales records show that 90% of your weapons went to species that were at war with humanity. You made money from human blood and now you want to call it an accident. The Nexari ambassador began to cry. Tears ran down his gray cheeks as he realized that his species faced extinction and there was nothing he could do to stop it. What do you want from us? He whispered. Complete surrender, Kane replied. Your government will be dissolved and replaced with human administrators. Your military will be disbanded and your weapons manufacturing will cease immediately. Any Nexari found selling weapons will face quantum execution. In the next room, President Victoria Chen met with representatives from the old Galactic Council. The council had been the governing body of the galaxy for 2,000 years, but now it existed only as a historical curiosity. Real power belonged to the Terran hegemony and the humans who controlled quantum technology. The Galactic Council formally requests dissolution and transfer of all authority to the Terran hegemony, said Chancellor Vorthak of the Altair Collective. The tall reptilian alien had once commanded respect from dozens of species. Now he begged for permission to exist. Chen nodded slowly. Your request is accepted. The Galactic Council is hereby dissolved. All former Council territories will be administered by human governors until we decide they can be trusted with limited self-rule. The alien representatives exchanged glances, but none dared to protest. They had seen what happened to species that defied human authority. The Corvan Republic had tried to organize resistance, and their homeworld had been rendered uninhabitable within hours. The Vegan Alliance had attempted to hide their military assets, and their entire space fleet had simply vanished. Admiral Morrison supervised the establishment of human colonies in former alien territory. The quantum terraforming technology allowed humanity to spread across the galaxy at an incredible rate. Worlds that had taken alien civilizations millennia to settle were transformed into Earth-like environments within months. Morrison stood on the observation deck of his flagship and watched another world transform before his eyes. What had been a barren rock covered with poisonous atmosphere was becoming a green paradise that could support millions of humans. The terraforming devices rearranged matter at the molecular level and created oceans, continents, and breathable air in real time. "Sir, we have completed terraforming of 17 worlds this month," reported his science officer, Dr. Lisa Park. "The Population Council estimates we can relocate 50 million humans to the new colonies within the next year." "Any alien resistance?" Morrison asked. "None, sir. The former inhabitants evacuated voluntarily when our ships arrived. They seemed to prefer exile to the alternative." Morrison nodded. The aliens had learned that humans were not interested in negotiation when it came to taking territory. Species that cooperated were allowed to find new homes. Species that resisted simply stopped existing. Dr. Amanda Foster continued her research into quantum science and developed weapons that seemed to defy all logic. Her latest creation could destabilize entire star systems by causing their suns to collapse into black holes. Whether these weapons would ever be used was unclear, but their existence served as a powerful deterrent to any species thinking about rebellion. Foster worked in a laboratory that was bigger than most cities. Around her, hundreds of human scientists pushed the boundaries of physics and created technologies that seemed like magic to alien observers. They built devices that could manipulate time itself and weapons that could destroy targets in parallel dimensions. "Dr. Foster, we are receiving reports that some alien species are attempting to develop quantum technology of their own," her assistant, Dr. Carl Williams, reported. Foster smiled coldly. "Let them try. They are working with incomplete data, and they lack the theoretical framework to understand what they are attempting. Any alien quantum research will result in the researchers accidentally erasing themselves from existence." The psychological warfare continued as humans demonstrated their technological superiority in ways designed to intimidate potential enemies. Human ships appeared at alien military bases and simply observed without attacking. The message was clear. "We can reach you anywhere and you cannot stop us." Captain Susan Wright commanded the stealth monitoring network that kept watch on all alien activities. Her ships were invisible to alien sensors and could observe enemy movements without being detected. Any species that showed signs of developing dangerous technology found their research facilities simply disappearing overnight. "We detected quantum experiments on Rigel 7, Wright reported to command. The research team was attempting to reverse engineer captured human technology. "What was their progress?" Kane asked. "They managed to accidentally erase their entire laboratory complex from existence. No survivors and no recoverable data. The experiment was a complete failure." Kane allowed herself a rare smile. "Make sure that footage gets distributed to other alien research facilities. Let them see what happens when they try to copy technology they do not understand." President Chen delivered her final address to the galaxy from the steps of the Terran Capitol building on Earth. Behind her stood the flags of every human colony and territory. The sight of so many human worlds was a reminder of how far humanity had spread in just 2 years. "Citizens of the galaxy, the age of chaos and oppression has ended," Chen announced. "For thousands of years the strong preyed upon the weak and might made right. Species conquered each other without mercy, and the powerful ignored the suffering of the helpless." Chen paused and looked directly into the cameras that broadcast her words to every inhabited world. "Humanity was pushed too far, and we pushed back, with the force of a collapsing star. We did not seek this war, but we finished it decisively. The galaxy is now under the protection of the Terran hegemony, and such brutality will never be tolerated again. The new order was simple and absolute. Humans ruled the galaxy, and everyone else lived by human rules. Species that followed human law were allowed to maintain their cultures and limited self-government. Species that caused trouble simply disappeared. Peace. Through strength is our doctrine, Chen continued. The galaxy will be safer because humanity is strong enough to enforce justice. No species will be allowed to oppress another. No government will be permitted to wage aggressive war. No civilization will be abandoned to face genocide alone. Across the galaxy, alien populations watched the broadcast and tried to adjust to their new reality. The species that had seemed invincible just 2 years earlier were now subjects of the human empire. Some resented their loss of power, while others were grateful that the chaos and warfare had finally ended. Dr. Foster's research teams discovered evidence of weapons that could manipulate time itself and create universes where different physical laws applied.